Cruise news time. Have you ever made this mistake? Have you ever shared so much information that somebody else could cancel your cruise? Well, there's a lady that claims it happened and it affected her so much that she called the cops. Cops investigating a strange cruise cancellation. It's a twisted tale. Cruise news. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Lido, Loca. I'm your host, Tony, here with the latest cruise news updates, and today we got ourselves a doozy. This story comes from Elliot Advocacy. Elliot Advocacy often works on the part of cruisers who are trying to interface with cruise lines to receive some sort of money back for a strange situation. And so if you want some interesting reading about cruising and cruisers having a hard time, go to Elliot Advocacy and read some of these stories. But today is a super interesting one. There was a lady who was planning for a big milestone anniversary, 40th anniversary. Her and her husband wanted to go on a cruise. They wanted to go on a cruise in May of 2022 to celebrate this milestone, and they had invited some friends. And this all happened a little while ago. They booked it a ways back, and them and their friend group, they were going to go on this cruise. Now, a few months ago, she was looking on Royal Caribbean, I'm not sure, maybe just to see what was going on, and she noticed that her cruise was not there. And so she jumped on the telephone, and after a 2-hour hold, she was told that her cruise was canceled. And hearing this news, she asked, was my cruise canceled for protocols or COVID or something like that? She was told, no, your cruise was not canceled for that. You canceled your cruise. You called in and canceled your cruise, said your granddaughter was visiting. You canceled it. And so therefore, you're going to lose your deposit and we're going to charge you a fee. Ha ha. I don't think they said ha ha. I'm not trying to make anybody the villain in this. And the lady was like, I didn't cancel this cruise. This is what she told Royal Caribbean. I did not cancel this cruise. And she escalated it up the chain so that she could get some sort of resolution. And she was called back by a supervisor from customer service. And they said, hey, look, we reviewed the voice recordings. They make voice recordings when you call in. And it certainly sounds like it was you who canceled the cruise. And the lady's like, I did not cancel the cruise. And so she goes through all of these other hoops. She follows an article that talks about how to get complaints resolved by going to the executive level of management in these organizations. And she made a bold move and a regrettable mistake. She wrote Royal Caribbean a stern email saying that she had obtained legal counsel to get this resolved. This is an interesting read. You got to read the whole story on Elliot Advocacy. I'm not going to be able to do it justice just with the storytelling, but one takeaway from the article, and there are several, don't ever threaten lawyers when you're trying to get your complaints resolved, because at that point, it moves it from the customer service resolution area over to the legal system. And the legal system, they're more legal than customer focused, right? So they're looking at what the is, and if there's no clear path that you were wrong, they're just going to tell you, look, we did what we could, and sorry, you're out the money. That's what this lady encountered. And then she had an epiphany along the way that in her friend group, there had been a falling out. And one of the people that her reservation was tied to was no longer their friend. And her assumption, her accusation is that this friend called up Royal Caribbean and canceled her cruise. And she was so convinced of this idea that she called the police. And she had them open a police investigation. A police investigation was open because she felt like her angry friend got her cruise canceled. But the interesting thing, and the thing I really want to share, is there are 4 big tips that the Elliot Advocacy Group lays out there to help prevent this situation, to help keep other people from being able to cancel your cruise. I'm certainly going to share that with you. But first, let me quickly invite you to subscribe. If you like staying up to date with everything that's going on in cruising, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of these episodes. And that way, look, I'm digging through all this stuff so that I can share interesting stuff with you. And so if you want the interesting stuff, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, become part of the Loca fam. It doesn't cost anything. And yeah, you'll get the interesting stuff. How about that? All right, so the 4 things that the Elliot Advocacy Group says to make sure that you don't get your cruise canceled by a stranger. don't give your reservation number out. That's number one. Reservation number and some other pieces of information which are usually easy to obtain. Those are the things that will let you interface with the cruise line. You got to remember, when you're calling up the cruise line on customer service, they don't know you. If you've got all the right information, you're basically opening up the ability to do all kinds of stuff to the cruise reservation. And so keep some of that data super secret, especially that reservation number. That is point number one. Point number two is be careful on social media. The article points out that you can go to some of these cruise roll calls and you can see people's full names. You can see what cabin they're booked in. You can see the itinerary. You can see what excursions they booked. Again, you're giving out a lot of information that could be used to interface with the cruise line to do something with your reservation. So be cautious. I like the fact that people get together and say, we're going to be on a cruise together. Can we be friends? That kind of stuff. But you can overshare in social media, and some ne'er-do-well out there may try to take advantage of your oversharing. So be careful with that. Point number three, and this is a big one, always make sure that the email address that you have on file with any of these travel scenarios, the cruise line, car rental, airline, make sure that they have the correct email and that you are receiving email from those places. So many of the notifications that are being put out by the cruise lines come through email, and certainly you would think that if you got your cruise canceled, you would get a cancellation email. That's a good point. Make sure you're checking the email that you've used for your travel and make sure that that email is correct. I think that's a great tip. And then the fourth tip that Elliot Advocacy advocates is use a travel agent. And that's kind of near and dear to our heart. What I like about using a travel agent is the travel agent has a ton of experience, and that's the person that you would interface with. And so if you're working with a travel agent that knows you, all of a sudden if your neighbor calls and says, I want to cancel your cruise, that's going to be a red flag to the travel agent, and they would reach out to you. And so it's always good to have that buffer. Travel agents don't cost money. They're paid by the cruise lines, and so they should be working with you without any kind of service fee or surcharge. If you're running into travel agents that want to charge you like a service charge or a service fee, find another travel agent. There's a lot of great travel agents that don't do that. And look, of course, we have a travel agency business, Lido, Loca Travel, helmed by my lovely wife, Jenny B, and her team. Jenny B and her team have thousands of cruise bookings and cancellations and all the things with cruising under their belts. And so certainly if you need some free expertise when it comes to booking your cruise, reach out to Team Jenny. They'll be happy to help you. The way you get into that workflow is through email. Send an email to jbarnette, jbarnette, at expediacruises.com. I'll leave a link to that in the description. Team Jenny will be happy to help you with that stuff, and that might also help avoid some stranger being able to cancel your cruise. Now, there's no resolution to the police investigation. There's no, aha moment where it was revealed that this friend was the person that canceled the cruise. But the Elliot Advocacy group jumped in to help out this lady. And really, their goal was to just get their money back. The lady wanted her money back, and she wanted copies of the voice recording. Elliot Advocacy talked her down a little bit and said, look, probably the best that we can do for you is get your money back and your penalty money. And that's what happened. That's the resolution. Elliot Advocacy was able to get her $500 deposit and her $200 cancellation fee credited to her as a future cruise credit. Now, it's still not a great resolution for the lady, because if she wants to rebook a cruise, cruises are more expensive now, and all of her money is tied up in Royal Caribbean. But I thought it was worth sharing the story to have that conversation. It's pretty crazy stuff. Look, I've fallen out with people in life before, friends, that kind of thing, but I've never had anybody go hardcore and cancel a cruise or travel like that. But I'm sure some of you had. This is a great conversation for the comments. What's the craziest thing that's happened to you? Have you fallen out with a friend or a relationship? What kind of crazy thing has impacted your cruise, and could it have been avoided? How do you resolve it? Great conversation. Leave a comment below. Thank you so much for checking out the show today. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. You can show your support for the show by hitting the like button. And look, if you do not hit the like button, then yeah, your cruise is going to get canceled by an angered ex-friend. How about that? And one of the most craziest experiences I've ever had on a cruise was because I revealed my cabin number during the cruise. If you haven't seen that story, people showed up in my cabin. Check that out. This is Tony for Lido Loca. Until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.